Welcome to the channel!
Grab a blank sheet of paper. Look at it. It might seem ordinary, maybe even a little boring, but hold on to it because you are actually holding a piece of hidden technology. I know what you might be thinking. It's paper. It's the stuff we use for spelling tests and math homework. But long before it ended up on your desk, paper started as a brilliant ancient invention. Making it is basically a giant science experiment, all designed to help humans share their biggest, wildest ideas. Before paper existed, people had to write on whatever they could find. Some painted on cave walls, others pressed marks into wet clay and let it dry in the sun. Imagine trying to carry a backpack stuffed with heavy clay tablets. This is an ancient Egyptian material called papyrus. Notice the rough texture of the plant stalks and the hieroglyphic writing. Plants were sliced, pressed, and dried. It was lighter than clay, but not true paper. Papyrus was a great invention, but humanity needed something smoother, thinner, and easier to make in large amounts. We desperately needed a lightweight way to record information. Otherwise, our grand stories, our detailed world maps, and our new discoveries would physically be too heavy to carry around and share. This brings us to Kai Lun in ancient China, nearly 2,000 years ago. He helped create a completely new recipe for writing material. Looking at this fragment of ancient Chinese calligraphy, you can still see the raw texture of the plant fibers, tree bark, and old cloth he mashed up to make it. To make this early paper, people soaked those old materials in water until they turned into a mushy pulp. Then, a worker would dip a flat, rectangular screen into the vat and lifted it out, catching a thin, even layer of the watery mush. Once that layer dried, it became a sheet of paper. This amazing recipe traveled along with merchants and explorers. Slowly, the paper-making process moved along trade routes, spreading outward from Asia into the Middle East, and eventually reaching Europe. This image shows an early printing press. By pressing inked metal letters directly onto flat, sturdy sheets of paper, people could suddenly print hundreds of pages in a single day. Because paper was lightweight and easy to produce, books could finally be made quickly. Science, art, and stories could now easily travel across oceans and be passed down through generations. Today, the process is much bigger. Most modern paper starts in a forest. Huge trees are harvested and chopped into mountains of wood chips, just like the giant piles you see here. Inside a paper mill, these chips are cooked and mixed with huge amounts of water. You can see the result here in this giant vat. It looks like a thick, wet oatmeal. It is basically a giant wood smoothie. Watch how this machine handles the mush. The watery pulp is sprayed out into a wide, thin layer and speeds through giant heated rollers. These heavy metal cylinders press down, squeezing out the water and ironing the sheet perfectly flat. The final result is massive. These gigantic rolls of dry, crisp paper wait in long warehouse aisles before they are cut down into the individual pages you use at school. The machines are giant and fast, but the basic idea remains the same. We mix materials with water, flatten them out, and let them dry to create a blank canvas. But how does a watery mush dry into something you can fold into an airplane? The secret is hidden deep inside the wood. Plants are made of millions of tiny, microscopic strings called fibers. When mixed with water to make pulp, those tiny fibers completely separate. They spend their time floating and drifting around loosely in the clear liquid. As liquid drains, the little strings crash together. They tangle and physically link arms to form a tight net. As the sheet dries, they pull tight, creating a microscopic grip strong enough to write on, yet flexible enough to fold. You can even test this yourself. With an adult's help, you can tear up old scraps of paper, blend them with water, and press the mush onto a small screen. When it dries, you have your own handmade sheet. Paper is an example of tiny-scale teamwork, millions of fibers physically holding hands so they can hold your ideas. That tiny teamwork gives paper one more incredible ability. When you are done with a sheet, its journey does not have to end. Paper can easily be given a second life. The recycling journey starts by collecting all our old cardboard boxes and used homework. Look at these towering blocks. They are made entirely of compressed used paper, gathered from homes and schools, waiting to be remade. At the recycling plant, machines wash away the old ink and chop everything up. You can see the loose, shredded pieces riding up the conveyor belt here, breaking the sheets right back down into those tiny individual plant fibers. Next, they dump these old shredded pieces right back into the giant vats of water. They mix up a brand new batch of paper smoothie, and the manufacturing cycle starts all over again. Tossing your page in the blue bin physically supplies the factory with the materials they need, which means we do not have to cut down as many new trees. Because most of our paper starts its life as a tree in a forest, we have a responsibility. Trees provide shelter for animals and oxygen for our planet, so we should always use our supplies wisely. You can help by filling up both sides of a page before grabbing a new one. You can even keep a special scrap box at home for practicing spelling words or trying out a new drawing. From a small workshop in ancient China to the giant rolling machines of a modern factory, humans have spent thousands of years perfecting this process. Every time you pick up a piece of paper, you are holding the results of all that creativity. The fibers are locked together, the canvas is blank, the tool is ready. Now the only thing missing is the story you decide to tell next.
Subscribe for more science, math, and more.